The cake sat untouched before me, 30 candles burning like silent indictments. My family circled the dining table, their faces bathed not in celebration but in quiet remorse. I'm Nora, and in that moment my world fractured. We have something special to announce, Mom began, her voice wavering with a rehearsed cheer. As she slid an envelope into view, my heart pounded with anticipation. I'd hinted for months about my dream vacation to Greece, yet the envelope was not meant for me. Tessa, she continued, turning to my younger sister, we know you've been hurting since your breakup, so we've pooled together to send you on a 2-week Mediterranean cruise. A heavy silence fell. I clenched my nails until they dug into my palms, watching Tessa burst into ecstatic laughter and rush into our parents' arms. That very cruise, my secret dream, the one I'd meticulously saved for, the itinerary I'd left open on Mom's laptop, now became her consolation prize. What do you think, Viv? Dad asked, his smile faltering as he caught my hollow expression. Isn't it wonderful? Your sister really needs this right now. I rose slowly, the scrape of my chair on hardwood echoing my inner emptiness. Wonderful, I echoed, my voice flat. I remembered every time I'd sacrificed, lending my car for college, giving up my apartment when her lease fell through, even offering my boyfriend when fate demanded. Nora, don't be dramatic, Mom warned sharply. It's just that Tessa needs it more, I finished, bitterness lacing my words. She always does, I thought bitterly. At least Tessa's discomfort was visible, while my own turmoil remained locked inside. I slipped into the hallway and grabbed the overnight bag I'd packed months ago, my secret lifeline. As I pulled out my phone, Mom's panicked voice called after me. Where are you going? This is your birthday dinner. I paused at the doorway, taking in their stunned expressions one last time. You know what? It is my birthday, I declared softly, more to myself than to them. Tonight, I give myself the gift I deserve. I opened my banking app, the account I'd been furtively building through years of freelance work, and steeled myself. Don't wait up, came Mom's shout as I stepped toward the door. Tessa needs, I murmured. I know exactly what she needs. But what you don't know is I've been planning. And soon you will. The door clicked shut behind me, muffling their protests. Outside, the cool night air filled my lungs, and for the first time in 30 years I felt weightless. I texted Julian. It's time. Plan B is a go. His reply was instant. About damn time. The Uber's on its way. Later, in the quiet hum of an airport coffee shop, Julian slid into the booth. You look like you just broke out of prison, he teased, eyes bright with disbelief. I smirked, glancing up from my laptop. More like I'm about to break in, I replied, swiveling the screen to show my confirmed flight to Bali. Holy shit, you're really doing it, Julian marveled, nudging his glasses up. That secret savings account finally paid off, huh? 3 years of hustling on the side. I sipped my coffee slowly, each sip a small act of rebellion. While they fussed over Tessa's surprise vacation, tethered to my birthday, I was plotting my escape. Another buzz on my phone. Mom's 20th call in 2 hours. Julian raised an eyebrow. Gonna answer? Not until I'm in the air, I said, showing him a string of desperate texts. Please come home. We can talk. Your sister is crying. Julian's tone softened. Your sister cries and the world stops spinning. Not anymore. I closed my laptop with a satisfying finality. The worst part wasn't just the stolen dream. It was that they'd used my research, my late-night travel blogs, the itineraries I painstakingly planned. They'd handed them over as if Tessa's heartbreak warranted a consolation prize from a man who never deserved her. Have you blocked Derek on everything? Julian asked quietly. Done and done, I replied, though I doubted he'd even notice. After all, he was too busy orchestrating his own getaway with my sister. And with that, I stepped into the night, free at last, carrying the weight of my plans and the hope of reclaiming my own future. The airport speakers crackled with my boarding call. A final announcement that I was leaving the past behind. Julian rose from his seat and pulled me into a tight, reassuring hug. Send me photos of everything, and Viv? He added, his tone mixing light humor with sincere care. When he released me, his eyes held an unspoken promise. Don't let them guilt you into coming back early. You've earned this escape. I hefted my bag over my shoulder, feeling the weight of new beginnings. 3 months of remote contracts were lined up. By the time they realized I wasn't just throwing a tantrum, I'd be well on my way to crafting a life of my own. Moments later, my phone buzzed with a text from Tessa. "You're being selfish. Mom and I worked so hard to plan this surprise for me." I showed it to Julian and he burst into a laugh, a sound that mingled amusement with the sting of irony. "Watch this," I typed quickly. "They planned your surprise so perfectly on my birthday that they completely forgot mine. Don't worry, I took care of that myself." I switched off my phone and strode toward security, leaving Julian's supportive chuckle echoing behind me. For the first time in my life, I wasn't following someone else's script. I was writing my own. Later, on a sunlit Bali beach, a woman reclined on a lounge chair and offered me a fresh coconut with a warm smile. Her silver hair glinted in the sunlight, and deep laugh lines crinkled around her eyes. "First time in Bali?" she asked gently.
"I'm Nora," he replied.
"Vanessa," she introduced herself, her tone both welcoming and knowing. "You know, I escaped 15 years ago. Left my controlling ex with nothing but a suitcase and a dream. Best decision I ever made." Her casual inquiry, "Running from something too?" made my heart tighten. I hesitated before admitting, "Family. A sister who's always been the golden child. They gave her my dream vacation on my birthday, and still don't understand why I left." I could almost feel the echoes of every sacrifice I'd made for her. Vanessa's eyes softened. "The hardest part isn't leaving. It's staying gone long enough for them to realize you mean business." Before I could dwell further, my phone buzzed again. Service had finally returned. A flood of messages poured in, including one from Dad. "Your mother hasn't slept. Please just tell us where you are." I showed Vanessa the message and she advised in a low, steady voice, "Don't answer yet. Let them sit with the consequences a few more days." Then came a notification. Tessa had posted photos of herself shopping for cruise wear. The caption read, "Sometimes the universe gives you exactly what you need. Blessed Yawar family love." I couldn't help but show Vanessa. "Unbelievable," I murmured. Vanessa's smile wryly acknowledged the absurdity. Here you are on a gorgeous Bali beach, while she's still at home clinging to a cruise that was meant to be yours. "I've lined up 3 months of remote work, maybe even more," I said, the defiance in my voice firm. "Planning my future piece by piece." "Then come to dinner tonight," Vanessa invited, her eyes dancing with mischief. "I host a weekly expat meetup. You'd be surprised how many people share your story." I paused, then smiled. "I'd love that." As Vanessa gathered her things, she added with a conspiratorial glint, "And Nora, whatever you're planning, that spark in your eyes tells me you're onto something big. Make it count." I couldn't help but think of the series of scheduled emails waiting to be sent, each one a carefully crafted message meant to let my family feel the full weight of their choices. "It will," I promised myself. 2 weeks into my Bali escape, I settled at a beachfront cafe with my laptop open when the first scheduled email deployed. My phone erupted with notifications. Vanessa slid into the seat across from me, morning coffee in hand. "So phase 1 just launched, right on schedule?" I turned the laptop so she could read the email I'd sent to my entire family. "Dear Mom, Dad, and Tessa, remember that promotion I was hoping for last year? The one Tessa needed help with? Surprise, I got it 3 months ago. The remote position I've been dreaming of. Funny how you never questioned why I was always working late. Love, Nora." Vanessa chuckled at the deliciously petty tone. "How long until the next one?" she asked just as my phone rang. Julian's familiar face appeared on the screen, and I hit speakerphone, ready to share the thrill of my new beginning with someone who had always believed in me. "Your mom called me 6 times, Julian said with a wry laugh, shaking his head. "Crisis mode over there. Apparently you've been hiding your success from them." "And Tessa?" "She applied for the same company last month and got rejected." "Really?" I managed, a wry smile tugging at my lips. What a twist of fate. "But that's not all," he continued, his tone shifting as he dropped another bombshell. "Your cruise departure was set for tomorrow, the very date Tessa was given. But she's out. Some lousy sushi landed her with food poisoning." Vanessa nearly choked on her coffee at the news. A stark reminder that karma has a wicked sense of timing. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. "Why didn't you tell us about the promotion?" We would have celebrated. And now your sister's sick, and the cruise is non-refundable. I couldn't help but think they still don't get it. I showed Vanessa the message. Give them time, she murmured after a pause. But I'm curious, what's in your next scheduled email? I pulled up my draft folder and grinned. Remember that savings crisis you fretted over? Check out my investment portfolio. Seems I'm better with money than you thought. P.S. Bali says hi. Vanessa raised her coffee cup in silent approval. The best revenge is living well. I leaned back, scanning the paradise around us. But what's your endgame? Believe it or not, I'm not after revenge anymore. These 2 weeks here have taught me more about who I really am than 30 years back home. I'm not angry, I'm free. Then my phone lit up again, a message from Tessa. I can't believe you've been keeping secrets. That was my dream job. I flipped the phone face down, the sting of her words lingering. I admitted to myself with a small self-mocking laugh. I'm mostly free, but I won't lie. These little revelations are satisfying. Vanessa lifted her cup once more in a toast, to satisfaction, to freedom, to the intoxicating taste of independence. And here's to the 3 more emails lined up for the next 6 weeks. I added with a playful wink. At 3 a.m. Bali time, my phone rang again. Tessa's name flashed on the screen. Against every instinct, I answered. Do you have any idea what you're doing to this family? Her voice, raw and breaking, demanded. Hello, Pen, I replied softly, sitting up in bed and switching on the lamp. Shouldn't you be resting, especially with that food poisoning? Cut the crap, Viv. I'm not crying, I'm furious. Mom's in shambles, Dad's sleepless, and you're off in Bali, sending cryptic emails about your success? Funny how my achievements hurt you more than my absence. Hurting you? No, Tessa, I countered evenly. I'm doing this for me. There's a world of difference. Really? Her tone turned bitter. Then why didn't you ever tell us about the promotion? About the savings? About any of it? I laughed. A sound that startled us both. When exactly did you expect me to spill? During your breakup drama? While you were job hunting? Or maybe at my birthday dinner? Oh wait, that turned into your vacation celebration. A long silence stretched between us before Tessa's voice softened into a whisper. You don't understand. You've always been the strong one. What? Mom and Dad? I prompted. There was a pause, then she continued, voice trembling. They only worried about me because I was the mess-up. You were perfect. Straight A's, a stellar job, stable relationships. They clung to you because you didn't need them. I straightened, a painful pang of realization hitting me. That's not how it felt for me. You want to know why they gave me your vacation? Her voice wavered. Because I was planning to move in with Derek, to leave the family business and start my own life. They panicked. The truth hit me like a wave. They'd been desperate to keep you dependent, to keep you tethered. And you, the one who dared break free, became their target. I let out a bitter laugh. A laugh heavy with resignation. Until now, I murmured. God, Viv, I was so jealous of you. Still am, Tessa burst out, her voice raw. Jealous? Of being invisible? Of having the guts to leave? I could almost feel her pain. She continued bitterly. I saw your email about the promotion. And I thought, of course she did it. She's Nora. She never needed anyone's help. I pressed my fingers to my temples, trying to steady the surge of conflicting emotions. Pen, I'm not invisible, I murmured, but she cut me off. Don't say you're not strong. You're off in Bali building a new life, while I'm stuck here with food poisoning and parents who handle me like fragile glass. There was a pause. My next email, scheduled to drop tomorrow, sat in my drafts like another cruel twist. I stared at it, the silence heavy between us. Pen, I said slowly, I think we need to talk. Really talk. Not about Mom and Dad, but about us. Us? She echoed, incredulous. Because it feels like we're both just playing roles in someone else's story. I remembered Vanessa nearly dropping her smoothie when I'd recounted the conversation. I had canceled the remaining emails, pushed my breakfast around my plate, and bared it all, about feeling invisible, secret savings stashed away, and my plans to stay in Bali. And then, Vanessa prodded as I pulled up Tessa's text, her tone barely above a whisper. Vanessa read aloud. Mom and Dad have been paying my rent, car payments, even my credit card bills. I'm 28 and I've never stood on my own 2 feet. Help me change that. I scrolled to the next message. She confessed that Derek, my ex, only dated her because our parents invested in his startup. Vanessa exhaled sharply. Jesus, that's manipulative. Controlling. I let out a hollow laugh. All this time I thought they favored her. Turns out they just kept her dependent while I was becoming exactly what they feared. Independent. Before I could dwell on it further, my phone buzzed. A video call from Tessa. I answered, and there she was, eyes alight with wild excitement. I did it, she announced. I just handed in my resignation at the family business. You're kidding, I said, sitting up straighter. Dad's furious. She grinned, more alive than I'd ever seen her. Mom's crying, but I did it. And I moved out of that apartment they were paying for. I'm staying with a friend until I figure things out. Vanessa leaned into the frame with a teasing smile. Hi, I'm Vanessa. Your sisters told me all sorts of terrible things about you. Tessa laughed, then softened. Viv, I need to ask. That remote job you got. Does your company have any other openings? A slow smile spread across my face. Actually, yes. They're looking for a social media manager. Someone who understands brand voice and audience engagement. Tessa's voice dropped to a quiet confession. My degree is in marketing, the one choice I made for myself before Mom and Dad shoved me into the family business. I know, I said, pulling up my email. That's why I already sent your portfolio to my boss. She wants to interview you next week. Tears welled in Tessa's eyes. Why help me after everything? Because we've both been pawns in the same game, I replied, catching Vanessa's approving nod. Maybe it's time we stop playing roles. Mom's call interrupted us. A 10th ring today. Tessa sighed, showing her screen. Let it ring, I advised. Remember, we're rewriting this story. This time we're the main characters. Vanessa chimed in, so how do you feel about Bali, Tessa? Once you land that job, of course. Tessa's smile, fragile yet hopeful, said it all. Then Julian's text lit up. They're here. Pick them up from the airport. Your parents look like they haven't slept in weeks. I stepped onto my beachfront villa's balcony, watching the sunset as if it were a quiet promise of change. After 6 weeks of silence, my parents had done the unthinkable. They'd followed me to Bali. Ready for this? Vanessa asked, handing me a glass of wine. I hesitated. The great confrontation? Honestly, no. I checked my phone. Tessa was on standby for a video call, and Vanessa and Julian were my backup. Headlights appeared in the driveway. I took a deep breath as car doors slammed. Nora, Mom's voice boomed up to the balcony. We know you're here. I descended the stairs slowly, Vanessa at my side. My parents stood in the living room, clad in expensive travel clothes that couldn't hide their worry. Dad's face was drawn, and Mom's eyes were red-rimmed. Without missing a beat, Mom reached out. You've lost weight, she said immediately, her voice a mix of concern and relief as she reached for me. In that moment, as the tension hung in the air and our new story began to unfold, I realized that maybe, just maybe, we were finally stepping into our own lives. I stepped back, heart pounding. Is that really your opening line? I asked, voice barely holding back disbelief. Not an I'm sorry or a we understand now. Understand what? Dad exploded, anger slicing through the tension. That you abandoned your family? That you turned Tessa against us? I didn't turn anyone against you, I replied, careful and calm despite the storm around us. I just stopped playing the part you forced me into. Mom's eyes flashed. What does that even mean? I fumbled for my phone and dialed Tessa. Her face lit up the screen as I set it on the table, steadying myself. It means, Tessa said evenly, that we're done being your puppets. Mom crumpled onto the couch, voice trembling. Puppets? We gave you everything. No, I countered, my tone low with hurt. You made Tessa dependent, and made me invisible. That's ridiculous, Dad protested, his voice cracking under the weight of old wounds. We paid Derek to date me, Tessa interjected, the irony hanging bitterly in the air. Sabotaged my attempts at independence? Made Nora feel unimportant. Mom's cry turned desperate. We were protecting you. By giving away my birthday vacation? I murmured, the question heavy with years of quiet pain. By never celebrating my achievements? by always centering Tessa's needs. I pressed, each word a measured cut. Dad's voice softened, barely audible. You were always so capable. I was lonely, I admitted quietly. And Tessa was trapped. At that moment, Vanessa stepped forward, her calm presence cutting through the chaos. What your daughters are saying is that they're finally adults, free to choose their own paths. And who are you? Mom snapped, eyes flaring. Someone who saw your worth when you couldn't, Vanessa replied smoothly. Then Tessa's face filled the screen. Mom, Dad, Nora and I are building our own lives now. You can either be a part of that, or you can walk away. A silence fell so thick it was almost physical. Finally, Mom's voice emerged, small and tentative. What do you want from us? I met Tessa's eyes through the screen and together we said, we want you to listen. Really listen. I paused, letting the weight of our truth settle. This time we're both telling our stories. The morning light streamed through the villa's windows as I packed the last of my things. My phone buzzed, a message from Tessa. Flight's on time. Can't believe we're really doing this. Having second thoughts. Vanessa asked gently as she helped fold a sundress. Actually, no, I replied with a small, resolute smile. I remembered our long, raw conversation from the night before. The first time I felt truly heard. Vanessa chuckled. I still see your mother's face when you showed her that new lease in Singapore. And when Tessa announced her job, Dad nearly fainted. I laughed softly. But they stayed. They listened. They're trying. Then my phone rang. Mom's face appeared once again on the screen. I answered and set the call to speaker. Just checking your flight details, she said, voice careful and measured. Your father and I want everything set for next month's visit. Still on track, I confirmed. Tessa arrives tonight, and we're viewing apartments tomorrow. The company is excited to have both of us in the Singapore office. Together but separate, Mom mused almost wistfully. I ventured. I always thought keeping you close meant keeping you under control. A pause, then a quiet admission. I was wrong. Seeing you both flourish, we should have trusted that all along. Vanessa caught my eye and offered a discreet thumbs up before slipping away, leaving me with a moment to breathe. Mom, I began hesitantly. Remember last night when you asked if we could start over? I let the silence speak before continuing. Tessa and I have been talking. We'd like to start a new tradition. Monthly family video calls, where everyone gets equal time. No interruptions. No drama. She inhaled sharply. I'd like that. Your father too. And Nora. Yes, I whispered. And I'm sorry about your birthday, about everything. I hope someday we can celebrate properly on your terms. We will, she promised softly. But right now, I said, voice firm yet tender, I'm celebrating something better. Freedom. For both of us. A knock at the door broke the moment. Julian stood there, ready to drive me to the airport. Ready to go, boss lady? He teased with a warm smile. I took one last look around the villa, a space that had witnessed our unraveling and our rebirth. Mom, I have to go. My new life is waiting. Go, she whispered, eyes glistening. Be amazing. Both of you. I ended the call and gathered my bags. Stepping outside, I turned to Julian. You know, for the first time, I'm not running away from something. He raised an eyebrow, curious. Tessa and I were running toward something. Together yet separate. Just like Mom said, on our own terms. With a playful grin, he added, speaking of terms, Vanessa told me to give you this. He handed me an envelope. Inside lay a key and a note. For when you need a Bali escape, some paradise kept secret. Love, Tori. I smiled and tucked the key into my pocket. In that quiet moment I realized, sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's finding your own path. And inviting others to walk beside you, not behind you.